Hi, my name is Jamahl Kersey and I'm a criminal defense attorney in San Diego, California. And in this video, I'm going to address the question, am I going to jail? Am I going to jail is one of the most common questions I get as a defense attorney. The initial answer is the classic lawyer response, it depends. Yeah, I know, so let's break it down. There are a number of factors that determine whether someone will end up in jail, and we'll discuss a few. Number one is whether there's an outright legal or factual defense to the charge. If there's a legal or factual defense to the charge and the prosecutor is convinced that the defense is legitimate, they will likely dismiss the case. So what would a legal defense be? Well, years ago, I represented a client in a pretty big drug case. Officers searched a house where my client was living along with some other guys, and they found pounds of methamphetamine and other evidence of drug sales. My client was arrested and charged as a result. The search of the home was based on one of the roommates being on a fourth waiver. With some offenses, if you get convicted, the judge will impose a fourth waiver. And if you're on a fourth waiver, officers can search your person, your home, and your vehicle without a warrant. But it turned out the guy who had the fourth waiver was in custody at the time. Therefore, the officers had no valid basis to search the house without a warrant or consent. So we filed the appropriate motion to address the issue. And because there was no legal basis for the search, there was serious problems with the evidence the police seized. The DA ultimately dismissed the case. So this would be an example of a legal defense. As for a factual defense, there was a fraud identity theft case I handled years ago. My client was being charged with fraudulently getting an auto loan in someone else's name. She was in a relationship with a guy and they had a falling out. The boyfriend reported the car stolen and said she used his information to fraudulently take out a loan. Unfortunately, my client lost her job when her boss learned of the charges. She was in an industry where she was trusted with sensitive information, and she lost her job just for being charged. If she had been convicted, she would basically be kissing her career goodbye. Thankfully, my client saved the text messages which showed that the then boyfriend had agreed to co-sign on the loan and that the transaction was 100% legitimate. There was no fraud whatsoever. So this led to the DA dismissing the case. So as you can see, if there are solid legal or factual defenses, this can lead to a dismissal. If the case is ultimately dismissed, the accused is obviously not going to jail. If the case is not dismissed because there are no outright legal or factual defenses, then we have to look to the seriousness of the crime to determine whether someone is going to jail. The more serious the offense, the more likely a person, if convicted, is going to jail. So serious offenses such as homicide, rape, and major drug trafficking offenses are likely to lead to prison time. On the other hand, if you have lesser offenses such as petty theft, trespassing, or minor domestic violence offenses, then you may not go to jail. There may be certain alternatives to custody such as house arrest, public work service, community service, or being put on probation. But bear in mind, even if a person avoids jail time, having certain offenses on your record can make it difficult to get jobs, housing, it can look bad in child custody battles, and have other negative effects on your life. So even minor charges must be taken seriously. A person's criminal history plays a factor. If the person's a first-time offender, then the prosecutor will be more willing to agree to a non-custody deal versus a person with a long criminal history. But again, if the offense is a serious one, even a first-time offender could be facing jail or prison time. In theft cases, the paying back of restitution may help a person avoid going to jail. If the person has solid career prospects and a conviction would derail those goals, this could be a basis for negotiating a deal that avoids jail time. The age of the person can be a factor as well. If the person is really young and has his whole life ahead of him, a prosecutor is going to be more sensitive to keeping them out of custody. On the other hand, if a person is really up in age, especially if they have no criminal history, this can be a factor used to negotiate a deal to keep a person out of custody. When you're dealing with assault type offenses, the seriousness of the injury can be a huge determining factor as to whether someone goes to jail. If the victim suffered broken bones or organ damage, a person is more likely to go to jail or even prison versus minor cuts and scratches. So as you can see, there are a number of factors at play to determine whether a person is going to jail. I hope this video was informative. If it was, please hit the like button and be sure to subscribe to the channel. As always, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, peace.